The story of the first widely publicized alien abduction in American history began on a dark, lonely highway in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. On the night of September 19, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, a respected interracial couple, were driving home to Portsmouth from a short vacation in Canada. It was late and the roads were nearly empty. Suddenly, Barney noticed a strange, bright light in the sky that seemed to be moving erratically. At first, he dismissed it as a satellite or a commercial airplane, but it grew brighter and closer, appearing to follow their car. Betty, who had a long-standing interest in UFOs, urged Barney to pull over. He stopped the car, grabbed his binoculars, and stepped out to get a better look. Through the lenses, he saw what he described as a flat, pancake-shaped object with a row of multicolored flashing lights. It was descending rapidly and silently toward them. As it hovered just above the tree line, Barney could make out figures moving behind a series of windows. Overcome with a chilling premonition, he felt as though he was a rabbit being stalked. He ran back to the car, shouting to Betty, "They're going to capture us." He sped away, but soon the car began to vibrate, and a strange rhythmic buzzing or beeping sound filled the air. Both Betty and Barney felt a bizarre tingling sensation wash over them, accompanied by a sense of drowsiness and altered consciousness. The next thing they knew, they heard the same beeping sound again. They looked at each other, confused, and realized they had traveled 35 miles down the road with no memory of the journey. Their watches had stopped working, and when they arrived home, they discovered that approximately 2 hours of time were completely unaccounted for. In the days that followed, the Hills were plagued by a host of unsettling physical and psychological symptoms. Barney found strange scuff marks on the tips of his dress shoes and a circular pattern of shiny, concentric circles on the trunk of their car that would not wash off. Betty began having a series of vivid, terrifying nightmares. In these dreams, she and Barney were stopped on the road by short, gray-skinned beings with large, wraparound eyes. They were taken aboard a silent craft and subjected to a series of physical examinations. In her nightmares, Betty recalled being separated from Barney. She was placed on a table where the beings examined her hair, skin, and eyes. They inserted a long, needle-like instrument into her navel, telling her it was a pregnancy test. The leader of the beings, who seemed to communicate with her telepathically, showed her a star map, a three-dimensional holographic projection of stars connected by lines representing trade routes. When Betty asked where they were from, the leader pointed to a star on the map. This star map would later become one of the most debated and analyzed pieces of evidence in ufology. Initially, the Hills were reluctant to speak about their experience, fearing ridicule. Barney, in particular, was a pragmatic man, a postal worker, and a respected member of his community, and he wanted to forget the incident. But the nightmares, combined with Barney's escalating anxiety, hypertension, and the discovery of a cluster of warts that appeared on his groin after the incident, convinced them to seek help. Their journey would eventually lead them to a renowned Boston psychiatrist, Dr. Benjamin Simon, who would unlock their missing memories through a controversial but fascinating therapeutic technique, hypnosis. If you want to hear what was revealed during those hypnosis sessions and how the Hills' private ordeal became a public sensation, stay tuned and follow the channel for the next segment. In early 1964, seeking relief from their anxiety and fragmented memories, Betty and Barney Hill began a series of hypnosis sessions with Dr. Benjamin Simon, a highly respected psychiatrist specializing in trauma and amnesia. Dr. Simon's goal was not to validate an alien abduction, but to uncover the source of their distress. He hypnotized them separately so their accounts wouldn't influence each other. What emerged from these tapes remains some of the most chilling audio in paranormal history. Under hypnosis, both Betty and Barney recounted a nearly identical narrative that filled in the 2 hours of missing time. They described their car being stalled on the road by a group of humanoid figures standing in their path. The beings, described as short with grayish skin, large craniums, and slanted cat-like eyes, took them from the car and led them into the craft. Barney, who in his waking life was calm and composed, was terrified on the tapes. His voice trembled with raw fear as he relived the moment of being separated from his wife and dragged up a ramp. He described feeling a strange dissociation, as if his mind and body were disconnected. Inside the craft, they were subjected to medical examinations in separate rooms. The beings took samples of their hair, skin, and nails. Barney described a cup-like device being placed over his genitals, presumably to collect sperm. Betty's account of the needle inserted into her navel was particularly traumatic. She screamed in pain on the tape, recalling how the leader of the beings, whom she sensed was a doctor, then waved his hand over her eyes to instantly stop the pain. This detail, a painful medical procedure followed by a strange technological anesthesia, became a staple of future abduction reports. Perhaps the most compelling detail to emerge was the star map. Under hypnosis, Betty recalled asking the leader where they came from. He showed her a three-dimensional holographic map displaying a pattern of stars connected by lines. Some lines were heavy, trade routes, others dotted, expeditions. After the sessions, Dr. Simon asked Betty to draw the map from memory. She produced a sketch of 12 stars connected by specific lines. For years, this drawing was dismissed as random. However, in 1968, Marjorie Fish, an amateur astronomer and schoolteacher, spent years building 3D models of the known galaxy. She claimed to have found a match. The map seemed to depict the Zeta Reticuli double star system as the aliens' home base. This discovery gave birth to the term Zeta Reticulans, or Greys, and lent a veneer of scientific credibility to the Hill case. Despite the coherence of their stories, Dr. Simon remained skeptical of the extraterrestrial explanation. He concluded that the abduction was a shared fantasy, a psychological projection of their anxieties as an interracial couple in the racially charged 1960s. He suggested that Betty's dreams had influenced Barney's hypnosis sessions. The Hills accepted his treatment but rejected his conclusion. To them, the physical evidence and the trauma felt undeniably real. They intended to keep the tapes private, but in 1965, a reporter from the Boston Traveler leaked their story. Overnight, the Hills were thrust into the national spotlight, becoming reluctant celebrities and changing pop culture forever. If you want to know how their story defined the modern image of the gray alien and the lasting legacy of their case, stay tuned and follow the channel for the final segment. The Betty and Barney Hill case did more than just introduce the concept of alien abduction to the public. It fundamentally rewrote the visual language of our nightmares. Before their story broke in 1965, popular culture's depictions of aliens were varied: robots, green monsters, or human-like figures. But after the Hills account was publicized, and especially after the 1975 television movie The UFO Incident starring James Earl Jones, the image of the gray became the standard. The small stature, the oversized head, the gray skin, and the large black wraparound eyes described by Barney under hypnosis are now the ubiquitous face of extraterrestrials in everything from the X-Files to emojis. The cultural impact was immense. The Hills were an ordinary, credible couple. He a WW2 veteran, and NAACP member, she a social worker, which made their story harder to dismiss as the ramblings of fringe lunatics. Their account introduced specific tropes that would appear in thousands of subsequent abduction reports: missing time, medical examinations, telepathic communication, and the suppression of memories that could only be retrieved through hypnosis. Skeptics, however, point out that an episode of The Outer Limits, featuring an alien with wraparound eyes, aired just days before Barney's hypnosis session, suggesting his memory might have been influenced by what he saw on TV. A phenomenon known as cultural contamination. Despite the fame, the aftermath was difficult for the Hills. They faced ridicule and intense scrutiny. Barney died of a cerebral hemorrhage in 1969 at the age of 46, a tragedy Betty attributed in part to the stress of the encounter. Betty became a prominent figure in the UFO community, spending the rest of her life defending their story and hunting for UFOs until her death in 2004. She never wavered in her conviction that what happened that night was real. The physical evidence, Betty's dress, which was stained with a mysterious pink powder that defied analysis, and the scuff marks on Barney's shoes, remains a subject of debate. The dress was tested multiple times, with results ranging from anomalous biological substance to common household stain, depending on who you ask. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Hill case is not the star map or the medical exams, but the psychological question it poses. Dr. Benjamin Simon believed the abduction was a folie à deux, a shared delusion triggered by the immense societal pressure the couple faced as an interracial pair in pre-civil rights America. In this interpretation, the aliens were metaphors for the alienation they felt from human society. Yet for believers, the Hills remain the Adam and Eve of the abduction phenomenon, the first to be taken and the first to return with a warning that we are not alone and we are not in control. Today, a historical marker stands on Route 3 in New Hampshire near the site of the encounter, officially recognizing the Betty and Barney Hill incident. It is the only official government marker in the world dedicated to an alien abduction. Whether a true encounter with visitors from Zeta Reticuli or a complex psychological trauma, the story of Betty and Barney Hill remains the cornerstone of modern UFO mythology. The Hill abduction forces us to confront the limits of memory and the power of belief. Whether you see it as fact or folklore, its impact is undeniable. If this deep dive into the case that started it all fascinated you, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Share this video to keep the mystery alive. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.